Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Many thanks for attending my lecture, which deals with a rapidly flourishing field of studies. Several terms are used to describe this field, such as popular musicology, or musicology for popular music, or new musicology. However, popular musicology in Greece has not shown its will to produce fruits as yet. Rembétiko and Laikó are two extremely popular musical styles, both in Greece and abroad. I can imagine that most of you are familiar with sounds like this. Not like this. This is the famous Zorbas dance, composed by one of Greece's most famous and respected composers, yes, whose name is Nikos Ordoulidis, from a well-known movie entitled Zorba the Greek. This is what is called, more or less, Laikó musical style in Greece. Before I continue, I shall try to clear things up regarding terminology. In 1923, as part of the Treaty of Lausanne, a great exchange of populations took place, and approximately 1.5 million Christians of Turkish citizenship moved from Turkey, mainly from Asia Minor, to Greece, while approximately 500,000 Muslims of Greek citizenship moved from Greece to Turkey. The criterion of the exchange was the respective religions of the populations. This sparked off the modern Greek urban popular, the so-called Rembétiko musical style, for the refugees from Asia Minor took with them their musical traditions. Today, Rembétiko is often called the blues of the Mediterranean. This is due to the fact that the style has been marginal for many years, connected to people who lived in the underworld, just like the case of blues. Please have a listen and make your own comparisons now. I love this guy.
I'm in the mood, baby. I'm in the mood for love. I'm in the mood, baby. I'm in the mood for love. I'm in the mood, in the mood. Babe, I'm in the mood for love.
This was John Lee Hooker, and this one is Marco Mavakaris. To give an idea of the prevalent discourse surrounding the history of Rembétiko, Greeks consider and call the music style that came with the refugees from Asia Minor in 1923 Smirneiko, which derives from the word Smyrna, that is the city Izmir. And hence they consider it the very first stage and the forerunner of the Rembétiko musical style. However, the use of the term Smirneiko is problematic and misleading, for there were songs from several other origins, such as Constantinople and Adrianople, which were part of the repertoire that Greeks address as Smirneiko. The following song is a typical example of what Greeks call Smirneiko. I guess you can hear the oriental elements within this music. According to common beliefs, Rembétiko has its roots in Piraeus, with pieces very much based on the style of Smirneiko, but also with many differences, such as the usage of a completely different orchestration and a different lyrical theme. I should also mention at this point the derivative Rembétis. Apart from the musical style, the word also covers a more general and broader life stance, connected to people living in the underworld, such as drug addicts, criminals, who had their own ideology, appearance, idiolected and moral rules. The following song is a typical example of a Piraeus bouzouki-based Rembétiko song. Contrary to the aforementioned Smirneiko one, this one is based on the guitar and the bouzouki. The bouzouki is a fretted instrument, the flagship of Rembétiko. It also makes use of harmony and generally is not so tightly connected to the Eastern styles. This one is the bouzouki. This one, which is, as I said, a fretted instrument. It has these small things here, so it can play microtones, such as the oud. The right one is the oud, which does not have these small things, so it can play the microtones. After Rembétiko, with Marcos Vamvakaris as its major representative, who is often called the patriarch of Rembétiko, the Greeks speak of the new Laikó musical style, with its most important representative, VasílisTsitsánis. The work of VasílisTsitsánis is credited for the genre's broader acceptance under the term Laikó. Rembétiko enthusiasts in Greece consider the turning point to be somewhere around the 1940s, 1950s, basically with Tsitsánis' post-war work, which is often labeled as his classical period. The word Laikó stands for popular, of the people. The word comes from the word laos, which means the people. Peter Manuel describes Greek popular music as being modern Greek working class music. Manuel also describes the Rembétiko style as being urban Greek lumpen proletarian music of the early 20th century. For another scholar, Risto-Pekka Penanen, Laikó songs are generally post-mid-1950s Greek popular songs. However, Penanen points out that the term is used for urban Greek popular music in general, as distinct from the rural demotika, that is traditional folk, traditional music. The term Laikó is extremely vague. I will give some examples regarding the use of the terms Rembétiko and Laikó by my fellow countrymen and women. These examples are products of discussions with other people, musicians or not, and readings of printed material such as articles in magazines, newspapers, and so forth. Whenever someone hears Markos Vamvakaris' harsh and heavy voice in a recording, Greeks, without any second thought, speak of a Rembétiko song. I would call this voice identification. Moreover, they roughly determine the date of the recording somewhere in between the period of 1930s and 1950s. Let's listen to an example. Hello Markos, and they always did this thing because people were uneducated back then, so they couldn't read on the record that this song is Markos Vamvakaris. So the musicians used to shout hello Markos so that people could know that it's Markos that plays. Now, if the same people listen to a contemporary recording of the same song made by a modern singer, they then speak of a Laikó song. The most bizarre part of the story has to do with the case when someone listens to the contemporary recording before they listen to the original one. When they then listen to the original one, it is quite possible that they will not even realize that they are listening to the very same song. Or in a better scenario, they are shocked and wonder whether this is the same song than the one they already know. A good example is the George Dalaras' production at the Athens Concert Hall, which is a tribute to Vamvakaris. In these CDs, there are many songs that seem unrecognizable when one compares them with the original recordings. Obviously, modern arrangements, the use of more than one bouzouki, the use of a large ensemble, the use of a different singing style than Markos's, and change tempi can transform the song from a Rembétiko one to a Laikó one. And then comes the role of the technology. Performing and recording a 1930 song in a country's best concert hall with virtuoso bouzouki players using sophisticated arrangements and advanced technological media is like making a movie based on a Socratic dialogue. You use the original text, but in the end you know that this is only a reconstruction. Please have a listen to such a song recorded by George Dalaras. It is the same song we listened to. We are talking about the same song here. Greeks address the first one as being a Rembétiko and the second one as being Laikó, but we're talking about the same song. Now, if we think that we have somehow cleared things up in terms of the characteristics of the Rembétiko and how people categorize old and new songs, things seem to be even more complex for the term Laikó. If we accept that indeed the transition towards Laikó is somewhere around 1950s, how can we have Theodorakis, Hadzidakis, Tsitsánis, Zabetas and so many others under the same label, that is Laikó? Literally speaking, all of these are Laikó songs because they form an urban popular musical style which is intended and made for the people. In other words, songwriters with different musical backgrounds and outputs are labeled under the same term, that is Laikó. I believe that musical genres and styles cannot be labeled based only on dating. Thus, artists may fit into one or more genres simultaneously. There is a mixture of elements which fit together like a bespoke suite which can be applied to a song. From this we can consider two things. First, we cannot change any part of the fit, for there it will not be able to represent a particular style anymore. And secondly, the fit can and should be applied only to a single piece and not to an entire repertoire. In other words, if we consider the items of the preceding paragraph as being the ingredients of a musical style, that is, parts of the fit, a differing arrangement, for example, such as the paradigm of Van Vakaris and the concert hall, would be like changing a button on the suite, and thus, the suite that was worn on the original recording of Marcos, that is labeled as Rembétiko, cannot be the same for the contemporary recording too. Using the same skepticism, we cannot categorize all songs made by a particular songwriter in a single musical style, especially if their careers have been long-lasting. For it would have been almost impossible for someone to compose music based only on one musical style, that is, using the very same ingredients again and again. A great sample of this confusion amongst the people regarding the terms Rembétiko and Laikó is to be found in the text written outside the Van Vakaris Museum, next to his bust in the island of Syros. One can read on the plaque. Here the great master of Laikó song and craftsman of Rembétiko was born and lived his early years of his life. It should be noted that the English text found below the Greek and French versions is not a correct translation of the Greek one. However, one can notice the words Rembétiko and popular in the English text too. Turning now to popular musicology. Clearly, academic research on popular music has been developing rapidly. This can be verified by the numerous theses, books, articles, and so forth. Let us look upon a problematic issue concerning this field of studies. If we take as a fact the domination of the English language in the published text, and that it is usually Western scholars that undertake research on non-Western musics, a critical question arises. What if these non-Western countries develop popular music studies in their countries, using, of course, their own language? Will they have to take as facts the English nomenclature already established? Basically, all of these form a simple yet crucial question. How can we communicate with each other at an international level? Although there is something that brings together everyone involved in popular musicology, that is the music industry and the recorded music, there is need to find more connecting elements, one of them being the nomenclature. Within the field of popular musicology, as used by Derek Scott, or of the musicology of popular music, as used by Alan Moore, discographical research and musical analysis provide the main means of examination of the evidence. Scott's and Moore's popular musicology also exemplifies the interdisciplinary trends in music studies. A full discography of Rembétiko and Laikó, for example, would have two major positive impacts. It would put things in their place as regards wrong information provided in non-academic publications made in the past, and it would work as the frame on which musical analysis could be built. For example, accurate recording dates are a critical piece of information, important not only to the discographical analysis, but to the music analysis as well. Research on Rembétiko and Laikó will not only contribute to the understanding of Greek popular music, but will also offer findings concerning other musical cultures, such as Turkish, Afro-Cuban, blues, Latin, Italian, Hindi, and so forth. It can function, therefore, as a bridge for all these cultures that have been mixed together in the Greek peninsula on various occasions. The negligence towards some critical musical issues of Rembétiko and Laikó occurred because most of the available academic material covers the aforementioned styles from ethnographical, historical and anthropological perspectives, but not, apart from a few exceptions, from a musicological perspective, that is, the musical analysis. Evidence clearly suggests that Rembétiko and Laikó deserve academic treatment. These are two syncretic musical styles which perhaps, and as evidence suggests, are the very first national urban musical products of Greece, which, according to Peter Manuel, has one of the most distinctively national popular musics of any European country. The acculturation that happened is of major importance for Greek popular musicology, or laikology, if you prefer. For example, one can find Turkish makams. Makams are the Turkish modes, the scales. Greek paradosiaka, that is the rural traditional elements. Afro-Cuban rhythms, that is elements from Latin America. Western harmony, and so forth. Turning now to a very critical matter, the educational system in Greece. The Laikó style is not taught in conservatoires in Greece today, although the style is extremely widespread, while in other countries, popular styles are part of the educational systems, being also extremely popular with students. Apart from the political issues, that is the fact that the government does not decide to introduce program of studies for popular music, lack of research is the reason for the negligence of popular music. This situation is beginning to change, but still needs to take many further steps in order to reach a standard equivalent to elsewhere, such as USA, England and Finland. An example, and at the same time the best proof of this negligence of popular music studies in Greece, is that the memorandum of the State Conservatoire in Greece, on which all the other conservatoires' memoranda and teaching system, state and private, are based, does not include the teaching of Laikó music style alongside the other Greek popular styles such as Greek rock, Greek artistic, rural, traditional, and so forth. Bearing in mind the previous points, I will refer to some data collected from the National Documentation Center regarding doctoral theses at Greek universities. 4 entries have been found with keyword Rembétiko. 2 of them are from psychology schools, 1 from a school of media and 1 from a school of sociology. There is not 1 from a school of music. 84 entries with the keyword music have been found. More than 50% of them were held on Byzantine music, that is the Orthodox ecclesiastic chanting. This proportion alone gives rise to many questions, such as why this musical style merits such an academic treatment. 4 entries deal with traditional music. None of them, however, was held at a music school. The fact that the word Laikó does not return even a single result reveals how neglected this music is and much about the musical value system of Greek academia. One crucial act that the Greek government should take is to officially recognize popular music, theory, instruments, and so forth. Something that is not in effect today. I will describe a situation which reflects the gravity of the whole matter. Academic education is part of the purview of the Ministry of Education, while music education in conservatoires, private and state, is part of the Ministry of Culture. In 1988, the Greek government introduced public music schools, secondary and high schools. Although the law passed in 1988, the music schools became popular almost 10 years after. Today, music schools offer an alternative to pupils who do not desire to follow the program of studies of the general, secondary and high school and prefer to have in their daily schedule as many musical hours as possible. The programs of studies of public music schools includes the teaching of Greek popular music, Greek traditional music, Byzantine music and Western classical music. Both Byzantine music and classical music are part of the official program of study of both the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Culture, that is both the universities and the conservatoires. In other words, both ministries provide official recognized degrees for these 2 specializations. However, it is only the Ministry of Education that recognizes the studies of the remaining 2 fields, that is popular music and traditional music. In other words, if someone undertakes a bachelor's degree in Bouzouki at the University of Macedonia in Thessaloniki, for example, they will obtain an official recognized degree. On the other hand, if someone studies the bouzouki at a conservatoire, they will not be able to do so because the Ministry of Culture has not yet recognized popular and traditional music and its instruments. The flourishing of popular music studies and generally the wider acceptance of the value of popular culture within the educational system of Greeks looks to be in a more than critical situation, especially in this period of depression, crisis and injustice for the people of the country. Laikology and Rembétology should take their place in academia for two main reasons. First of all, popular music studies have developed to a high level abroad, leaving Greece far behind. And secondly, by undertaking research on Greek popular music, one can begin to understand the chain that connects far more musical cultures across the world. For instance, as we said, Afro-Cuban, the blues, Turkish, Greek, Hindi, Gypsy, Jewish, and so forth. I should highlight that elements from all these cultures can be found within Greek Laikó music. Therefore, it is not only important for Greek education, but also for the development of popular music studies globally. However, one could wonder, yes, but why not under Rembétology, which as a term already exists within academia? What is the need for Laikology? It became clear through my research that there is a need for separating Greek urban popular music into categories. The problem, though, lies in these words meaning in Greek, which, as we said, is of the people. Therefore, what urban popular musical style is not of the people, that is not Laikó? To put it another way, today the Rembétiko style, the Piraeus bouzouki-based, the post-war song, the Greek artistic style, the new wave, rock, and so forth, are all Laikó styles. That is popular styles, because they are mainly meant for the people, for the laos. Therefore, the title that can perhaps describe best the field of Greek popular music studies is Laikology, which apparently includes Rembétology. Now, if one examines the whole issue from another point of view, it will be ascertained that today in Greece, the labor market for musicians is extremely limited. The once more or less good jobs at venues with live music, that is membership of a band on music stands, has now been transformed into a nightmare due to Greece's economical crisis. People do not have money to spend on entertainment, and thus venues do not have clients, therefore they do not need musicians. In merely 5 years, the days per week that an average professional musician works have been reduced from 5 to 2 days, along with their earnings. On the other hand, and obviously this is true of every profession, taxes, goods, and generally the cost of living have gone up. It is the same economic situation that made people stop sending their children to conservatoires. I should say that conservatoires are the primary educational establishments in order for someone to learn music in Greece today. Therefore, conservatoires have reduced the number of employed music teachers due to the reduction in the number of students. Consequently, another job option for musicians has also turned out to be non-profitable. A third job option is the position of music teacher in schools. There are two problems though. First of all, music as a class is not mandatory in all schools, and in those that it is mandatory, the regulations of the Ministry of Education order 1 class hour per week. Therefore, the job positions in public schools are limited, considering the number of available musicians. Secondly, the aftermath of the economic crisis and the loans from the International Monetary Fund have caused a dramatic reduction in wages of almost every social stratum, including teachers in public schools. According to the above, the job of a professional musician is now in the heart of the crisis and in one of its worst periods. The field of popular music studies is so big, especially in countries like Greece, that it can open new horizons in the labor market of musicians. The official recognition by the state of popular music can top up conservatoires' number of students, for there are many